Welcome to episode 314 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the Donuts Above edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Phil Matthew. I'm your host, and as always, I'm with my co-host and good friend, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, gentleman and scholar, and someone who was at the Miami parking lot to watch some Formula One racing. His name is Josh Fine. What's going on, brother?
Hey, doing great, Phil. Of course, yeah. I was at the Miami Grand Prix, granted on Friday, just for first practice and sprint qualifying and F2 sprint qualifying and Porsche Cup America practice as well. But yeah, was there. Wanted to grab some pictures with my camera and get some, interesting as it could be for what Miami International Autodrome is. But we'll get into that later. But yeah, I was there. And had an interesting experience. So iRacing Indy 500 obviously starting this week through next week. So gonna be prepared for that later on. So ready to get into it.
Trying to become a two-time winner of the great race. So we'll see if Josh can do that. We'll talk about it here. We're gonna talk about the loss of Alex Zanardi, who passed away this past weekend at 59, remembered not only for his great driving ability in kart in the mid-90s, but his perseverance after his severe accident at Lausitzring in 2001 and coming back after being a double amputee. To race again, win again in racing, and then also be a Paralympic gold medalist. And also, he won the New York City Marathon in the paracycling division. The fact that he was able to do all that. So we'll talk about Zanardi, of course, and how great he was. And how I'm sure there was different tributes. There's tributes at the IMSA race for him. There's tributes at Formula One because, of course, he came from Formula One to come to IndyCar and ply his trade and the like. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about William Clyde Elliott II getting his second win of 2026 at Texas in the Cup Series race. Late race restart there to go in, but he had a great race car, so it was not like it was some sort of it was really in doubt. I think he was likely to be someone that was going to win that race the way he'd run the whole day. O'Reilly Series saw Larson get the win in the 88 car over Justin Allgaier. So we'll talk about that. And then in the Truck Series race was Carson Hocevar going and getting the victory, coming off of his win at the Talladega in the Cup Series race. He goes back on Friday night and wins in a 77 truck. So along with qualifying on pole for the Cup race. So great last few days for Hocevar for sure. Miami Grand Prix, someone else who has a lot of momentum is Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I talked about it on the Grid Talk podcast this past weekend, did the post-race show for that. First time in a long time there. But yeah, Kimi Antonelli, 3 straight poles, 3 straight wins. On the bounce, which I think they mention it on the telecast that it's only been done 2 other times in history of Formula One, where they won like their first 3 races. I feel like they said Mika Hakkinen, but that doesn't jive because he won his first Formula One race at the European Grand Prix in 1997. And he didn't qualify on pole for that race, I don't believe. But I know they said Graham Hill. So that's, of course, legend, multi-time world champion, et cetera, et cetera. So great company to be in for Kimi Antonelli to extend his points lead. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the argy-bargy that went on around him to get to the... And McLaren showing a resurgence with the new upgrade package. Roundup is busy. Formula 2 was at Miami, as Josh said. NHRA, South Georgia Motorsports Park. IMSA was at Laguna Seca, last lap pass in the GTP category. Pretty good race, to be fair, at a tight racetrack. Berlin, doubleheader for Formula E. And World Superbikes were at Hungary. A lot like what we used to do with Formula One. I can keep it pretty simple with that because the same guy wins every time. WEC will be at Spa this coming weekend for 6 hours there. Rally Portugal, WRC, MotoGP, Moto2 at Le Mans. And then Indy NXT at the Indy Road Course is back for doubleheader, which will lead into the Sonsio Grand Prix of Indy on the Indy Road Course for IndyCar to open up their month of May in earnest. On Saturday afternoon, we'll make picks for that. NASCAR's Top 3 Series will be at the Glen, Watkins Glen, in early May. Really weird to say that. Forever it's been in August. They moved it around last year. They moved it to June last year. Now it's going to be in May. So we'll see how that goes. Make our picks for all 3 races there. Josh will let us know all things iRacing gaming. Of course, the iRacing Indy 500, as he mentioned, in this sim segment, and then we'll call it a day. So yeah, Alex Zanardi, there's multiple lives. I think there was his rise up the ranks, connection to Schumacher in a sense, because he was affected by Michael Schumacher coming on the scene in Formula One. He had opportunities, or was supposed to have opportunities, that might have been taken away, but because of the greatness of Michael Schumacher and politics. But Zanardi was able to get into Formula One, race for Lotus, score points for Lotus at the end of their time. But it wasn't the team ended up going away, and in turn that also meant that opportunity to stay in Formula One really wasn't there. In 1996 or in late 1995, Chip Ganassi was not the big time guy that we all know him to be now. He'd only won, I think, a couple of races. I think he might have only had 2 or 3 wins. Up to that point, they had one Indy 500 pole with Harry Lunatic. They won 2 races with Michael Andretti in 94, first year with the Reynard. But they weren't the big-time team that they would become. And Alex Zanardi came from Europe to test. They had Jimmy Vasser already, and then they had this relatively unproven package of the Honda and Reynard with the Firestone tires that they were combining together. And this Zanardi would consistently call Chip cheap on the radio, so hence why people call him Cheap Ganassi ever since then. The joke was he was cheap and he wouldn't pay drivers for many years. Though I guess Scott Dixon proves that wrong because he's kept him around for like almost 3 decades. But long story short, he signs to drive that second Target car and made some funny commercials, of course, and then he won Rookie of the Year that year while Jimmy Vasser won the car championship. But by the end of the years, Alex Zanardi was the best driver on the track. He had the famous pass in the corkscrew, driving off the track to pass Brian Herta, which, if people didn't know who he was, he became known after that. His famous donuts celebration that has now become a part of a lot of victory celebrations ever since. He would go on to win the next two car championships pretty handily, and then go back to Formula One. One ill-fated year, basically, for Williams when they were not at the peak of their they had fallen off at that point. They were just about to come back to the BMW program and start going back up again, but timing was wrong. Situation didn't work out. Ralf Schumacher had beaten him pretty handily, and they had decided after 1 year that wasn't working anymore, so he left that program, spent a year off in retirement, and then was convinced by his old strategist, Morris Nunn, who at that point had become a car owner, to come back to kart and drive for him in 2001 as a teammate to Tony Kanaan. And he ran that year. He struggled. He wasn't the same as it had been years before at Ganassi. There were moments here and there, but it wasn't the same as it had been. Though at the race at Lausitz Ring, he was leading and coming to get fuel off Splash and Go with 13 laps to go, which was to looking like a possible first win for him in since 1998. And then the fateful crash that took place that this is coming off of course, like 9/11 had literally taken place a few days before, and they still raced that weekend. And then Alex Zanardi suffered these catastrophic injuries. The fact that he was saved was because of Dr. Terry Trammell, Steve Olvey, that whole entire team, safety team, and the surgeons and everything. And that was the second life, really. It was the second life was more, and the fact that Alex Zanardi was able to not only persevere, come back, be able to walk with prosthesis, but then get back into a competition mode, not just as a driver with hand controls and whatever, win in the World Touring Car Championship, win in GT cars, raced in the Rolex 24, was it 7 years ago? But he also won Paralympic gold. He won all these great races. Won at the New York City Marathon. But yeah, the Paralympic gold in London. He won, and I think he raced at Brands Hatch. I think that was part of what made it great, because of the track he'd raced at in a car, and to win his paracycling, one of those golds there was huge. And then he was able to compete again. I think the next one was Torino was the next Olympics, so that was meaningful to be at home. And his perseverance and willing and being able to fight, and he always had this joy and passion, and he always liked to joke around. He always liked to be loose, and he would there was never a doubt that there was passion at all times for Alessandro Zanardi, Alex Zanardi. But you know, we've lost a great man, a great race car driver, but I think a greater person. And of course, Daniela, his wife, and Nickel, his son, survive him. But you know, Josh, it's like I remember, like I can go back to when he was in Formula One, and I can remember those glory days driving the Target Chip Ganassi cars with the lightning strike on the side, and the donuts, and him winning like every race it seemed like in kart. Um, but it's crazy to think that that wasn't even the best thing that he ever did, really. You know, and that everything he did well after that probably was more meaningful to so many more people. And he is a poster. He was a textbook definition of perseverance.
Yeah, I mean, well said there. And I mean, for me, I guess, you know, his pass in 1996 versus Brian Herta to win Laguna Seca, that's my favorite moment of all time in racing, actually. You know, me growing up as a NASCAR fan and all of that, seeing that clip, I've always loved watching it. I've seen it several times. You know the call from the announcers, how that played out. You know, Alex Zanardi with a brilliant move takes the checkered flag from the pole at Laguna Seca. Like I remember, or you know, I know that by heart almost. But you know, that's my background of at work, my work computer. That's what I have, because I consider it a really iconic moment and something, you know, you would not normally try and do, and just of, you know, how ballsy it is to try to pass somebody at the corkscrew. But he did it, and you know, that's my favorite moment from probably all time in racing, just because how well executed it was. And you know, it was so unique. You know, it's never happened again because in that manner, because they went and banned it afterwards. So and we've seen other people try pass in the corkscrew in the last couple of years, but you know, it's not exactly the same. It doesn't have the same originality that, you know, what Zanardi did, because he obviously in that pass he went, you know, out of bounds and all that. But obviously the perseverance that he had after his accident in 2001, because when he got injured, I mean, the they were saying the blood vessels or the veins in your arteries in your legs are about the size of a quarter. So you could tell how much blood he was losing when that accident happened. And obviously the medical team was able to save his life in that, and he was able to recover. And then I think either a year or 2 years later, he was able to finally finish the 13 laps he never got to complete at the Lausitz ring when kart was still racing there. So, you know, fitting end to that. But yeah, what he did as Paralympian and being able to win gold shows the passion that he had, and, you know, the spirit that he had. And then also, you know, eventually later, you know, 2019, able to compete in the Rolex 24 in GT Daytona class, I think, or GT Daytona AM class with BMW. So obviously, you know, we've seen Robert Wickens now run with hand controls in IMSA in GTD Pro. But before that, you know, Alex Zanardi was able to do that at Daytona back in those days. So back in 2019. So yeah, it's a, you know, kind of an unexpected loss. I mean, we'd heard about his cycling accident a few years ago that he got severely injured in. But it seemed like he had recovered from that some and was, you know, still going through that recovery. But yeah, to hear the loss of him over the weekend is, you know, pretty unexpected. And Obviously the tributes coming in from everybody, including us now. So, yeah, it's a pretty big loss, and definitely one that we have to continue to think about and just remember the legacy that he had overall.
Yeah, the cycling, I mean, he'd won 12 world championships in paracycling, but then the neurological injuries suffered in a crash 6 years ago, and I mean, we hadn't seen him as much anymore, so obviously that recovery was much more difficult after everything else, all the other trauma that he had gone through. But the fact is, he was still fighting until the end, and considering what he went through to live 25 years after what happened to him on that day in September of 2001 is amazing. And then still have other stuff happen, and he still is here and fighting. He's a legend. Like that Target Chip Ganassi car is iconic, and it'll always be iconic because Alex Zanardi drove it. That was a period of time. That's when Chip Ganassi became a thing, and Zanardi was a big reason for it. And that was when Target was one of the biggest sponsors in the whole entire dang sport. And they made some of the funniest commercials, them guys, him and Jimmy Vassar. And I watched the video of Zanardi running the 13 laps at the Lausitz ring, and he would have qualified top 5 for the actual race, running 195 miles an hour, which is just insane. But that it's like there was talk here and there that maybe he ended up driving a BMW Sauber with hand controls, so he was able to drive a Formula One car again. I think there was talk. I think Ganassi was trying to think about possibly putting him in an Indy car to get around Indy. Guess we'll never know. But Alex Zanardi gets to be with some friends of his and be with the people up there that he's probably missed for a while, and we lose a great person, not just a great champion racer, but a great person. We will move forward, try to here with talking about NASCAR. He was a racer. He raced at, I think he was part of the field that tried to attempt to race at Texas Motor Speedway, and that fateful 600K race that never happened because of all the issues with vertigo and stuff. We talk about it, and one of the guys that's in this race has had issues with vertigo in the Cup Series, but in the we'll go over here. Yeah, the Cup Series, it was the Worth 400 at Texas. And in the end, it was William Clyde Elliott who led the most laps and won stage 2 and won the race, and almost pretty solid points day too, with the stage win there, and the bonus points that you get for winning. Holds off Denny Hamlin on that late race restart. Alex Bowman third, Tyler Reddick fourth on fresh tires. Christopher Buescher finally gets a top 5 at his home track. started third, finished fifth. Daniel Suarez started second, finished sixth. Carson Ozavar, as I mentioned, I qualified on pole, finished seventh, led 40 laps. William Byron spun, had issues during the day, and still came back, finished eighth. Bubba wrecked in practice, took a backup car, finished ninth. Ryan Blaney started 31st and somehow or another got all the way back up to 10th. Eric Jones won stage 1, finished 12th. And then you go through here. There were 20 cars on the lead lap. Kyle Busch and John Hunter Nemechek were running over each other there late in the race. Kyle Busch was actually running well. And he was looking like there was a possibility that he was going to get 2 consecutive top 10s for the first time in a couple of years. In his first race with Andy Street as his crew chief again. But he ended up getting into some argy-bargy there, and that didn't come off for Kyle Busch, unfortunately. If you are a Kyle Busch fan. And then, so he finished 20th. Corey Heim led the second most laps in the race. They ran some alternative strategies trying to, mess with the race, trying to make something happen there. And then he spun out late. Finished 31st, but it wasn't indicative of as good of a car as he might have had. Go through. I mean, a lot of drivers got some stage points. Briscoe got stage points in stage 1, was running up front, led 4 laps, had issues on pit road, Larson ran into him or whatever on one of the pit stops and under yellow, and then from then on he wasn't the same and ended up having a battle just to finish 1 lap down in 23rd. Joey Logano ran directly into the back of Cole Custer's car, destroyed his discount tire Ford, finished 37th. Ty Gibbs and Ryan Prix had issues. Christopher Bell got clipped by Todd Gilliland while leading and finished tailback. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely, there's a couple, there's a bunch of one-car incidents, but there's a couple of incidents there with 2 cars there that you mentioned. But for Elliott and for the Hendrick team, 2 cars in the top 3. Larson was running up there top 15-ish. And then you had Byron come back after what has been a kind of a lean period for him. And they seem to be, along with the Spire team, seem to be figuring out this new Chevy body style, running well on 1.5 mile racetracks and giving the Toyotas all they can handle. And then, for Ford, of course, they made up kind of the back end of the top 10. Buescher coming through at his home track for the first time ever was the standout performance for Ford. But, it was a Gibbs versus Hendrick kind of benefit, or Toyota versus Hendrick benefit. Spire was able to actually do some work because of Hocevar and Suarez both having great 1-lap pace. But yeah, Texas, is this a sign of things to come? Is Chase Elliott looking like a championship favorite, one of the favorites, behind, of course, Tyler Reddick, after getting a second win in 2026?
Yeah, it could be a sign of things to come. Obviously, for Chase Elliott, this is the earliest he's ever won 2 races in a season. Obviously, earlier this year he won at Martinsville, and that was the earliest he had won in his season. So it's definitely trending in that direction for Chase Elliott. Obviously, everybody still has to catch Tyler Reddick in wins. Tyler's got 5 wins, but Chase Elliott's also been very consistent guy over the course of his career, and he was one of the guys when you look at this change to the Chase championship system that could benefit from it. We've seen him be uber consistent in the past, but not always have wins. So now he's won twice so far this year, and definitely had a good car up front, especially late in going there, and that led to the opportunity for him to win here at Texas. So yeah, second win at Texas for Chase Elliott. Remember, he won 2024 in kind of a similar fashion. So yeah, here he continues to move up into the standings. Now he's up to 3rd. So yeah, it's a pretty solid start, and yeah, I think seems like Hendrick is beginning to pick it up as well. I mean, Alex Bowman, terrible start to the year, obviously, the absence due to vertigo for him, and now he's got 2 top 10s in a row. So even though likely Alex Bowman probably out of it for the chase, more than likely, at least trying to get some recoveries here and move further up in the standings. I think that's good for the 48 car, trying to at least quiet the doubters who are saying that he should be replaced since he hasn't produced, and this year hasn't gone well for him overall. So I guess, yeah, for him, he'll be looking to continue the momentum here as we go to Watkins Glen. And yeah, Byron, like I said, top 10 run. Larson, of course, I mean, he was kind of up there too, but top 15, but it looked like they were struggling. And then, of course, got into it on pit road with Chase Briscoe there, and that kind of changed the course of his day, and then was running closer to the top 20 after that, and then spun out by his own off of turn 2 there. So yeah, for Hendrick, I think overall they're doing great. Still not quite up there, but definitely, yeah, trending in the right direction, I think, as an organization. And yeah, obviously with Spire, you had Hocevar winning the pole, leading 40 laps. Daniel Suarez running in the top 5. So yeah, I think Hendrick, Spire, they're definitely leading the charge there. I mean, you saw Kyle Busch in the top 10 for once for most of the race, and of course the ending there for him, not the way that he wanted it to end. Obviously kind of cleared himself, I think, into John Hunter Nemechek there at the end, and he's trying to disprove it on social media right now, but it looks like he kind of wrecked himself there, and then he intentionally wrecked John Hunter Nemechek there in turn 3 after that. So yeah, for Kyle Busch, I mean, if he can get out of his own head and get over himself, maybe they can get some better results, but still looks like he kind of sabotaged himself there at the end, considering what he had in relation to the season that he's had so far. So we'll see how that goes there for him. And then, of course, yeah, the rest of, Toyotas, I mean, Denny Hamlin was up there. Corey Heim, obviously, up there until the very end. They tried a different pitch strategy. I think part of it was due to pitch strategy that they were able to lead a lot of laps, but shows that he is a Sunday driver. Just, yeah, didn't get the result there that he needed at the end for him. So definitely, yeah, a lot of potential there for 2311. Of course, Reddick wasn't really up there, but had a shot late, finishing 4th. Bubba Wallace, of course, coming from the back after a backup car who also spun off a turn 2 in practice. So coming off a backup car, coming back to finish 9th. Good result for him there. So yeah, overall, I mean, this race there's definitely some long stretches of green flag runs, especially towards the end. And then, I was thinking that, it'd be a typical green flag finish, but then Corey Heim there setting up the last yellow for the day, and, a handful of incidents throughout the day on, pit road and on the racetrack, especially off of turn 2 there. So, and turn 4. So, yeah, fairly kind of eventful Texas race for sure. And then we kind of got a least a somewhat interesting finish there at the end.
Yeah, the last restart kind of made it a little bit more dramatic than it really was. But, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, um, you got Elliott there, and I mean, you brought it up. In terms of this rules with the points format, I think this definitely is the way that Clyde wants to do things. This is the way he drives. He builds up as the season goes on. However, as you also mentioned, that he's winning earlier than he ever has. And this is coming with, you brought up Bowman having his issues this year, but now, you know, showing what the potential that he usually has if he can run well and stuff. Larson hasn't won in almost a year. You have Byron, who's been scuffling. So Elliott taking a lead position here, same amount of top five, same amount of top tens as Denny Hamlin, slightly better average finish, only 8 points behind Denny Hamlin in the point standings. And when you think about the bonus points that'll come later in the year, that's something to look at for the reset, because of course Reddick has a huge points lead and got a 5.7 average finish through 11 races, which is ridiculous, and 5.8 average start with 5 wins, 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and 3 poles. So it's just absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, you get those guys. There's definitely, you look at winning, there's definitely an emphasis on it. The best driver that hasn't won a race this year is Buescher. His consistency, running at the finish of every race this year, has 6 top 10 finishes. His run on Sunday gets him up to 5th in points. He splits the Hocevar and Gibbs from the rest of the winning drivers ahead. So it proves that if you can win a race, it really does make a huge difference in terms of your points ability there. Larson, Keselowski, Byron rounding out your top 10. Wallace is 11th, Priest 12th. That only driver in the top 16 in points that doesn't have a top 5. It's crazy to think, but Bell, Suarez, Cindric, and Briscoe move, even with his 23rd place finish, moved into the top 16 because Joey Logano, of course, was basically tailback. He's 7 points out of Logano. Briscoe is 6 points behind Cindric. And then there's huge gaps ahead of that for Suarez and Bell and Prix. I mean, basically, you take from Larson all the way to Bell is only 27 points. So that's a cluster there. There's a cluster of Buescher all the way to Gibbs, and then the Hamlin and Elliott battle there. But we'll see how it goes as we move forward. All right, go to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Was the Andes Frozen Custard 340 at Texas. And Kyle Larson started third, led the most laps, won the race. Justin Allgaier started on pole, won stage 1, so continues to accumulate lots of points. Was the maximum point scorer on the day of the drivers that can earn points. Led the second most laps and finished second. Was goofing on Sam Mayer, and he actually did finish third. from 17th. Brent Cruz, another top 5 finish. Parker Retzloff driving the Fentanyl Free America Chevrolet, sponsored by the DEA. There's a lot there. Finished 5th. Creed, Hank Hill, Bruckshot Jones, Jesse Love, Jeremy Clements finishes 10th. So that's another, I believe, Haas car there. So you got, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4 Haas cars in the top 10, 5 in the top 12, counting Alfredo. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with Alfredo. Yeah. So 5 Haas cars in the top 12. So those things are, even though we look at the junior motorsports cars as definitely the top team, and then you have Gibbs there, the Haas outfit with their customers and their actual team is performing at a high level too. Connor Zilich won stage 2, second in stage 1, led third most laps, but ended up a lap down in 21st. There was carnage early in the race. Took out the likes of Corey Day, Brad Perez, Austin Green, Rajah Caruth lost a bunch of points with his issues late in the race. So it's unfortunate for him. Taylor Gray has won, of course, earlier this year, so it's not as big of a deal for him. But I mean, for Kyle Larson going out there, hasn't been able to win in a cup car in a while, but shows he can still do it in an Xfinity car, O'Reilly car.
Yeah, you got it there too. No, but yeah, I mean, I think for Larson, I mean, I actually feel like his, I mean, you can see his driving style is a lot better in the O'Reilly car than it is in the Cup car, even though, yeah, he won the championship last year, had a pretty good 2024 and all that stuff. But, the driving style that he has with the, dirt track where he came from, that still kind of aligns more with the O'Reilly car than it does the Cup car in some ways. But, I mean, you saw what he was able to do. Maybe not you, but people saw what he was able to do with the 95 laps ago, like I was telling you before, we started 3 wide middle, battling for the lead with Connor Zilich and Brent Cruz, and all 3 of them just about wrecked coming off of turn 4, and they all saved it, and he came out on the other side with the lead. So it still tells you what he can do. But yeah, another win in the Xfinity series or O'Reilly series for him there. So I mean, yeah, no question about it. I mean, at this point, got a couple of races left for him, I think, in this car. But I mean, I think with the amount of wins that the Cup guys are getting in the O'Reilly car, or performances that they're getting, I mean, at some point, you want to see Rajah Caruth have more opportunities in the 88 car rather than, in the 32 there. But yeah, Larson won, and I guess there was a little bit of a dust up between him and Justin Allgaier, I think, on the last restart, trying to decide when to go at the end there, and all that stuff. And there's, I guess, some back and forth of gamesmanship and stuff like that. But I mean, in the end of the day, Larson was able to pull off the victory, and Allgaier was coming up close to him towards the end, but it wasn't able to close to really do anything with it there. So yeah, this is really interesting as well. I mean, this race kind of had the same flow with the Cup race, several yellows, first 2 stages, whatnot. Then the last one almost went caution free until the very end for Caruth there. So kind of the same way with the Cup race, with how that ran and everything. So yeah, Kyle Larson winning once again here in the O'Reilly series here, 3rd Texas win, count last year and 2016 in the fall. So yeah, it was pretty interesting there. I mean, top 10, yeah, Parker, like you said, crazy sponsorship there, but shows what he can do in a race car, of course. Yeah, Anthony Alfredo too, getting a top 15, pretty good for him there.
You
Yeah,
know, you
so
got Clemens.
yeah, Clements too, Jeremy Clements top 10 as well. So yeah, pretty interesting top 10 there and everything. So yeah, we'll see who of the Xfinity regulars can, or the O'Reilly regulars can catch Justin Allgaier in the point standings, and if somebody else besides Cup drivers can win here in the O'Reilly series coming up.
Yeah, it's starting to have the old feel with the bushwhackers of the old, whether it's in the 88 car, whether it's in the one car. Seems like that's become a thing again, whether good or bad. I mean, it definitely isn't great uh, for Quapple and especially uh, for Raja Carruth. Current point standings, I mean, Sheldon Creed in a lot of seasons would be doing pretty darn well for himself with 10 top 10s and 12 races, 6 top 5s and a win. 6.4 average finish, so best average finish of anybody on this in the series. But he's under 21 points behind Justin Allgaier, who has 9 top 5s and 10 top 10s and 12 races with 3 wins. So Jesse Love, Corey Day, even with the issues he had on Saturday, still up there. This series, it's kind of a little bit more spread out, even with drivers that have wins. Taylor Gray, Williams, Sawalich, 10th and 11th. Sam Mayer, who's been pretty god awful, it was his best run of the year, moved himself all the way up to 12th in points, right to the cutoff. 14 points separate Sam Mayer in 12th, and now Raja Carruth in 15th. Brent Cruz has only run 8 races, has 4 top 5, 6 top 10s, 8.9 start and 9.3 average finish. Is another top 5 finish. I mean, he is definitely somebody to look at this coming weekend and any road course that's coming up. He now is only 12 points out of the cutoff, and he's given a 4-race buffer. And if you want to really get crazy with it, he has 2 teammates that have raced the whole entire season, and he's 27. He's 30 points behind. He's 30 points behind William Sawalich and 33 points behind Taylor Gray. So I don't know which one's more impressive, the fact that he's run 4 less races or the fact that he's only that many points behind his teammates who are in the same equipment. And both of them have won a race this year. So I think that is really scary for everybody. The points reset, if there's one person that's looking forward to it, it's probably going to be Brent Cruz because he's running this well. I think he's likely looks like a top 5 contender for the championship come the chase the way he's running. So it is pretty sick to see that. And I think that's an underlying story that they really have to give more credence to, because outside of Allgaier, Creed, I guess Jesse Love and Day to a point, the best driver is freaking Brent Cruz. So we'll see what happens with that. And I do agree with you. Like, Raja has just gotten absolutely destroyed by driving that Anderson car. All the momentum he might have driving the 88 car, he loses it when he drives that car, and he doesn't, instead of being a top 10 contender, top 5 contender, he's hoping to run 20th. And now there's too many other drivers that are in contention to go and play a role in their to possibly go and make the playoff, because now it's definitely 15 drivers deep for 12. I guess there's a couple of outside, people after that, but really, it's now 15 drivers for 12. You've got 3 or 4 major teams in there, so we'll see what happens with that. All right, Truck Series, let's go over there. The Speedy Cash 250 at Texas saw Hocevar ride the Rita to a stage win in stage 2 and a race victory with the most laps led. Ben Rhodes started on the pole, won stage 1, second most laps led. Gio Ruggiero, a couple of third place finishes in the stages, led the third most laps. But it was Hocevar over Kyle Busch, Caden Honeycutt. Solid stage point day, gets the maximum amount of points for a truck regular. Buckshot Jones, Rhodes, your top 5. Lane Riggs started tailback, finished 6th. Daniel Hemrick, Christian Eckes, Ty Majeski, Chandler Smith. Parker Kligerman driving the free agent Ram for Kaulig, finished 11th. Ross Chastain finished 12th. Butterbean Queen 13th. A bunch of guys got at least some stage points. Tony Breidinger actually finished 18th. Wow. Let's see here. Haley got wrecked there. Tanner Gray, Garcia, Perez, Chris Wrong. Grant Enfinger had a couple of stage points to kind of salvage a day, but he got wrecked relatively late in the race. Cole Butcher started 4th and wrecked in 50 laps into the race there. Corey Roper driving the second truck for Halmar Friesen had issues. So, all right. Yeah, I mean, Hocevar goes out there. You saw some of the regulars like Honeycutt trying to give himself a chance to finally get that first win. Gio Ruggiero was up there. So, I mean, it was really the Spire Cup duo there versus the Tricon trucks. Then you had, a handful of other regulars, the Fords of Front Row and Thor Sport, and then the McAnally trucks all trying to make something happen. But Hocevar's super comfortable in a truck and proved it once again on Friday, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Hocevar is currently on a run right now. Of course, won the pole this weekend after the Cup race, and won Talladega, and obviously was undefeated for him until Sunday, winning on Friday at the truck race here. So he's having a pretty good week, obviously, and I guess I saw that he's hosting or is at the Met Gala right now. So that's an interesting crossover for a NASCAR driver there. But yeah, I mean, he's off to a good start here for him in the Truck Series as well. But then in the meantime, for everybody else, obviously Caden Honeycutt still continuing to lead the standings, of course. Chandler Smith, of course, top 10 for him as well to keep pace with Honeycutt there. So definitely a good run for those guys. Somewhat close point battle there. Lane Riggs in 3rd in points, finishing in 6th. So yeah, definitely for the top 3 there in the standings, somewhat close there. 14-point lead for Caden Honeycutt over Smith, and 19-point lead going back to Riggs. So at least here it's a little bit more interesting, but I think that's also because there's the benefit of a lot of the Cup guys, or Corey Heim winning here, and Corey Heim didn't even race in this race here this past weekend, and he was in the 67. So Yeah, this was definitely, I mean, not too much to take away from it really, but yeah, for the truck regulars, not too much changed in terms of the standings. So I guess yeah, we'll find out as they go. I guess yeah, they're going to Watkins Glen here, so be the first road course race here for the truck drivers here. So that should be interesting to watch here. So yeah, we'll see how everything goes here in the truck series. But yeah, once again, Spire trucks continuing to run well up front.
They did run St. Pete.
Oh, well, first true road course.
First true road course. That was I think that was Lane Riggs back in February. He got that victory, so see if he can go out on a regular road course. Something his dad was never great at, but it seems like Lane Riggs has kind of figured it out. So, I mean, it's true what you said. I mean, you have 45 points separating the top 7 in points. Now, Grant, like you mentioned, part of the reason that's the case is because you have 3 cup guys, basically 4 cup guys, that have won races, a total of 5 races so far this year out of the 7. That's part of what's keeping these points really close, but that's honestly a good thing. Because it also opens the door, I think, for some of these other drivers that have had a struggle to start the year to stay in the mix for the points championship. I mean, currently the cut line is Jake Garcia is a point ahead of Justin Haley. He's 9 ahead of Hemrick, 11 ahead of Butterbean. Tanner Gray's minus 20, Grant Enfinger's minus 23. And Enfinger's had a nightmare start to the year. I mean, Tanner Gray doesn't even have a top 10 finish. And he's still somehow in the mix for points. At least Grant Enfinger has 1 top 5. Ankrum has 2 top 10s only. I mean, it's really close, and that's, I think, once they get away from where having these cup guys being there every single week, might be able to see some of these other drivers stand out. The McAnally trucks are, all relatively close together, so that's one thing. You can also look at the ThorSport trucks. 3 of them are in there. You have 3 that are in contention for McAnally. Then you have the Tricon has 2 of their trucks for sure. And then you have, of course, Tanner Gray out there. Couple of the Mopars for Colleague. But they need to figure out, they do have issues with pace. They do have issues. They need to make some progress for sure. And Minnie Tyrell has at least moved ahead of Chris Wrong, so that's good. And then, Corey LaJoy right now is 100 points behind Justin Haley. So that's 101 points out of the cutoff, so he'd need to make a lot of progress if he wants to make a run at the points there. All right. So that takes care of the NASCAR portion. Let's go over for now, and we'll move on to Formula One. Grand Prix of Miami. Andrea Kimi Antonelli goes out there and gets a 3rd consecutive victory in this race and extends his points lead. He held off defending world champion Lando Norris to do so. Wins by 3.26 seconds over the McLaren driver. Oscar Piastri finishes 3rd Woody Russell was fourth. Fish Lips driving, somewhat poorly, did spin out turn 2, lap 1. Somehow others got it around and still was able to keep going. Leclerc wasn't as lucky later in the race. Leclerc was running in third until the final lap, spun out, hit stuff, and then proceeded to fall back. Finished in 6th place on the road, then got penalized for driving an unsafe a car in unsafe condition, which had him fall back to 8th. Williams ends up getting points with both drivers. First time this year, there were the 10 cars that were on the lead lap. Haas didn't run as well this weekend. They struggled. The Racing Bulls were a little bit off. The Astons actually ran through the entire race, so something to be happy about for them. Hadjar crashed in the Mickey Mouse chicane. Gasly got flipped over by Liam Lawson. Then Hulkenberg had electrical or mechanical problems. But, for Antonelli, had to battle after the one pit stop. It was only one pit stop race. They were talking about weather issues the whole time, but they never really came up. They moved the race up a few hours to avoid weather. It probably could have used a rain situation to make it a little more interesting, but Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Josh, he's 19 years old, but he doesn't look like a 19-year-old the way he's been driving these last 3 races. He looks like a guy who is trying to become the youngest world champion in the history of Formula One.
Yeah, Kimi Antonelli, going on a tear here right now, and obviously, driving with a lot of poise, and obviously Mercedes, they knew what he was capable of as he was coming up, and that's why he's in this car right now. So, obviously winning a bunch of races right now, and clearly head and shoulders above everybody, including George Russell, of course, his teammate there. So, for Kimi Antonelli, 3rd win already on the season, 20-point lead now over George Russell in the points. So it's definitely continuing to swing in his favor, and really hard to not go against him as the F1 season continues, as they go on to Montreal in a couple weeks. So really remarkable by him how he was able to win here and everything. So we'll see what he's able to do as the season goes along. Obviously, Mercedes has had the advantage with the power unit, and even with all the upgrades that everybody else had, Antonelli's still able to pull out to pretty big gap there at the end to win the race. So for everybody else, obviously the ending there was kind of chaotic. Charles Leclerc, I guess, trying too hard on the final lap there, spun out and end up making contact with the right or the left front there at the end. So that was a little interesting. And then obviously, the penalty, because I guess it's unsafe to drive his car nursing it back to the end there. There's a little chaos there with George Russell, who of course also had some wing damage, and you see the tires smoking off of his car. Verstappen, who had lost, he was in 3rd, and then he had fell back to 6th, and now finished in 5th there. So picked up another position for him there. So and I guess that moves, now that he's been penalized, that moves Lewis Hamilton into 6th, and Colapinto into 7th for career best there. So for Leclerc, was up in the top 3 at one point at the end of this race, and then just fell back, and another example of Ferrari's terrible strategy there. So just a terrible mistake there at the end for him to lose it there in turn 1. cost himself a lot of points there, I think. Verstappen, of course, like you said, lap 2 spun out, but ends up recovering to get back into 5th. So I guess it all kind of worked out there. And yeah, Antonelli continuing to dominate here in Formula One. But I guess, yeah, for me, obviously, I was at Miami Grand Prix on Friday. Wanted to go for photography reasons, just to check it out and get some pictures and stuff. Kind of, after missing out on the Rolex 24, kind of just been wanting to, go to some of these other races around Florida. Went to St. Petersburg Grand Prix back in March, on Saturday for practice and qualifying for IndyCar and NASCAR trucks. And then, thought it might be cool to check out Formula One on the Friday. For me, I think, obviously the value of going on a Friday versus a Sunday, I think, for photography reasons, I definitely thought that would be the better move there. And yeah, it was pretty interesting to go to. I gotta say, like, I was telling some other people this, like, and I've told a bunch of people about this already, like, this is probably the first time that I've ever been to a racing event and didn't need to wear earplugs. So that's pretty interesting there. Like, normally you wear earplugs at a race because it's loud, and it did not feel loud at all with the F1 cars. And granted, yes, I was in the stadium section of the track, in the concourses of Hard Rock Stadium there, trying to grab pictures from that angle. As the circular concourses that lead to the exits, you can grab pictures there, but didn't even really need earplugs for that. I think the loudest part was in Porsche Cup, was there practicing there for their event during the weekend, but and then I think the the hot laps that they do afterwards with the celebrities and all, whatnot and everything. So that part felt kind of weird, but it's still, you knew there was racing on the track and all that stuff. But it was interesting kind of seeing drivers, with the super clipping and all that stuff. Some guys, like, through some corners where you'd think that they'd be flat out there, going half pace or whatever. And I know it's because of practice and all that stuff, but it seemed weird and all that and everything. But it was cool to watch, the F1 cars. I haven't seen that in person ever. So, that was cool. But at the same time, there were other things about it that were, otherworldly, just like I didn't really look at the merch, and that was on purpose because I knew what the prices would be, and I'm not really interested in, overpaying for, something that I could get at a NASCAR race for half the cost there. So, and you can find it, secondhand eventually and all that stuff. And I'm not saying it's, I'm worried about cost per se, but just knowing what the value is of things, so, but the food, went to the concession stands inside the Dolphin Stadium, and it was weird because when you go up to the line, you have a camera or a scanner there for your credit card. You scan your credit card, and then you just walk through the little gate, and you grab your drinks, grab your food, and then you push the gate to exit, and then you're done, and it knows what you got and everything. I think there's like a $10 entry charge, and then they charge you for the food and the drink, whatever you get. So got a bottle of water and I think a cheeseburger and everything. So that definitely felt weird. It's just kind of grab whatever you get and goes, and it knows what you got. But instead of like you grab stuff and then you go to like a kiosk and scan everything, or have somebody count up your items and ring it up and all that stuff, which I guess it makes it more efficient. But then, I was talking about it with somebody else. It's also a subtle way to just make you just grab whatever you want and think you're going to get stuff and everything. So, that's an interesting aspect that I've never seen before at an event. I won't say I'm against it. It just felt weird, and everything. They still have all the, listings and all that stuff. So it's not like you're, spending money blindly, but definitely the way that it was accessible seemed a little too interesting to me. So that was an interesting part of it. And I guess just the atmosphere of it, definitely seemed different than, going to a NASCAR race or an IMSA race, or a IndyCar race. All of those definitely seemed like everybody was into it and everything, whereas this just seemed like it was a giant party in some ways, and there were just people there gathering for whatever reason, and all that stuff. I mean, I know when there's action on the track, when especially sprint qualifying, people were definitely watching and stuff, but I know for a good part of the day it just seemed like, especially as you kind of walked around the different areas and stuff, it definitely seemed like it was more of a kind of an influencer thing, I guess, where people just show up to go to and have a party or whatever and everything. It seemed like almost the action on track was somewhat secondary in a way, but I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it was a bad event or anything like that. It just seemed a lot different than the racing that I've been to there. And granted, I mean, I'm not that big into Formula One and everything. I mean, obviously we follow it, we talk about it, but I'm admittedly not as big of a fan of it as I am NASCAR or IndyCar or IMSA. So maybe I don't have the right opinion here, but that's definitely kind of what it felt like to me. But it was still enjoyable, I guess, to be there and everything. And then the other aspect of it is the photography. That was what I was there for, right? I was able to, the stadium, the concourses, there's some trees, palm trees that you can set up some shots there. So I was able to get some shots from there to, make it look like you're looking through the trees at the cars passing by. I thought those shots were interesting. I'll post them later on my page. What else? Turn 6, turn 7 and 8. I was on that section for a little bit during F2 qualifying. So that was probably the best opportunity to have a head-on shot without worrying about the double fencing that they have, because they have the outside fencing for prevent people from getting closer, and then there's the catch fencing that you have to account for as well. So only one set of fencing from that section, so you didn't have to worry about that affecting the pictures or anything like that. So that was pretty cool. And then I was in, I think, turn 1 briefly at the beginning. My seats were in the grandstands of the beach grandstand, but I didn't even go there. Honestly, I just ended up just walking around and everything. So, which is okay. I mean, that was really my purpose, is to walk around and stuff. I did want to try to check out my seats and everything, but with how spread out everything was and how hot it was, I didn't really want to go out and make the effort to it. So I just try to stay where I was and get good pictures and all that stuff. So I will say shout out to Jamie Price on all over Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Obviously professional photographer, covers F1, IMSA, IndyCar. I think he used to do NASCAR, but I don't think he does anymore. But great photographer, obviously somebody to look up to. Had the advice to print out the camera policy from probably can't see this, but it's the camera policy from the F1 website for Miami Grand Prix, saying, point and shoot cameras and cameras with consumer grade detachable lenses no longer than 6 inches will be allowed in order for guests to take photos, provided they are only for personal and private non-commercial purposes. However, monopods, tripod, selfie sticks, audio recording devices, and video cameras will not be permitted inside Miami International Autodrome. Cameras may be subject to additional screening. And then I also drew a line approximately 6 inches long in my car before walking in to make sure that the security people would notice that my camera lens that I was using on my camera is in fact less than 6 inches. I have the Nikon 70 to 300 millimeter lens, which is I think 5.6 inches long, so it's very close to being 6 inches, and it does look kind of professional grade in a way just because of the length and everything. So there was the concern that maybe I would not be able to get through, but I mean, they didn't really hassle me. They were like, is this 6 inches, or this looks like it's a little much? And I was like, nope, it's 6 inches, less than 6 inches, so we're good. And then they let me through. So definitely, for F1, they're very restrictive. And I do agree with what Jamie Price posted, because he had a video to talk about that and make you aware if you're going as a fan to take pictures. He was like, and after that, go book a ticket to an IMSA race. And I 100% agree with that. So I got to make sure I renew my tickets for the Rolex 24 for next year. So not sure if I'll go back to the Formula One race or go back to this next year, but in the future, definitely a thing to know about for that. I mean, they don't even allow you to take pictures, bring your camera to Las Vegas, so that's probably off the table. I'm sure Coda, if I decided to go to there, that's probably a better move than either Miami or Las Vegas there. So should be interesting. But that's my perspective, I guess, from going there on Friday and everything. And I will say, for parking, do park if you do go to the Miami Grand Prix. Do park at the Hard Rock Casino, the Seminole Hard Rock Casino, because they do have free shuttles to take you to the track. You do have to pay for parking in the parking lot 70, but I think if you park elsewhere, like if you park in the parking garages for the Seminole Hard Rock and then walk across the street to the shuttle lot, I think that's free, probably. Or if you find another way that's cheaper, ride share, whatever, to just go to lot 70 where they pick you up to shuttle you in, that's probably the move there. But definitely better than parking at the stadium where you're in lots and lots of traffic and all that stuff, and it's already lots of traffic anyways, and that part of South Florida and all that. But that's probably the move if you want to go there, at least on Friday. I mean, definitely move there. So that's my recommendation. That's what other people online have said. But yeah, that was my experience, I guess, at Miami Grand Prix on Friday.
Plenty of information there. Listen to that for sure. If you're going to go to the Miami parking lot and bridges and everything that surround Hard Rock Stadium, along with the Miami International Autodrome. It's almost like the fever dream if the Dallas street circuit had actually, which they ended up running around I forget, they ran Dallas for years with Trans Am for a few years and whatever after the ill-fated Dallas Grand Prix, but this track, I don't know. I didn't go off on it because it was like an okay race, but I was like, it's not. I mean, because it's Steven Ross and he's just a douche. He doesn't need any more money and he just bilks people out of it. But then I think the point you made about it being about influencers and stuff, it seems to be a thing that Liberty Media is about anyways. Wanting to have all these Hollywood people or have influencers be there. It's not as much about racing. I mean, you had that goofball Jimmy Fallon there. Randomly had Terry Crews. I mean, at least Colin Farrell knows what he's talking about, so that was okay. But, it is what it is. I mean, I do agree with the going to an IMSA race. It's why Amy and I are going to Watkins Glen with a few friends of ours from the sim racing place, making a few days out of it. Looking forward to that next month at the 6 hours at the Glen, because Watkins Glen's just awesome. So I'll go to NASCAR. I'll go to NASCAR on Saturday. I'm not going to go there on a Sunday. I don't want to deal with all the stupidity, nonsense, and traffic. I'll just go on Saturday and get practice like the same way as you did on Friday. You got multiple series, you had practices, you had qualifying. It's a way better deal, and you deal with way less hassle, even though there is plenty of hassle because it's Formula One. But keep it simple, and that's where go to a series that actually want people to show up and want their fans to actually enjoy it. So we'll see what happens. But Montreal's the next race for Formula One, same weekend as Indianapolis and the Coke 600. So greatest day in motorsports instead of Monaco will be in Montreal with Formula One. It won't be in the morning, it'll be in the afternoon. Kimi Antonelli will take a 20-point lead into that race over Russell. Charles Leclerc, 8 points ahead of Norris and Hamilton. Piastri is in 6th. Fishlip's in 7th. Bierman 8th. Pierre Gasly 9th, even though he flipped. Lost in 10th. The team standings, 70-point lead for Mercedes over Ferrari. McLaren with their 2-3 finish on Sunday, and then strong performance in the sprint, are 16 points behind Ferrari. Red Bull are only 7 points ahead of Alpine. Haas is 6th. Toro Rosso 7th. Williams gets on the board, and they're now in 8th ahead of Audi. And Cadillac, Aston Martin, the 2 cars, or teams that haven't scored points. We will get into the GSP Roundup. Formula 2 ran at Miami for the first time ever. And that saw the rain in the feature race. They'll also be racing in Montreal in a couple of weeks' time. So, because of trying to make up the races that they lost, Nicholas Soloff got the win in the sprint race. Lawrence Van Hoopen was 2nd. Go back. That's not what I want to do. Yeah, so Nicholas Soloff, the Red Bull Junior, goes out there, gets the win in the sprint race over Van Hoopen and Dunn. Nico Veroni, Joshua Dirksen, your top 5. Martinius Stenshorn, Mini, and Boganovic, your point scorers in the sprint race. Then in the feature race, Gabriele Mini gets the victory over Boganovic. Late, good passing, a lot of battling there between those two. Ruben Camara and Noah Leon. Kushmaini, who started on pole, finished 5th. Ritomo Miata, Mari Boya, Colton Herta, Sebastian Montoya, and Joshua Dirksen, your points finishers there. The standings, Zoloff 1 point ahead of Camara and Gabriele Mini, who had a 27-point haul from the weekend. Then Lawrence Van Hoopen is 4th, Ritomo Miata's 5th, Boganovic, Noel Leon, 4th through 7th, separated by 6 points. Dirksen and Tripuvasak, Gotha, Kushmaini gets his first points of the year in the feature race to tie Gotha and Alex Dunn. Colton Herta is in 13th in points moving forward, so they'll be at Montreal next. We go to the NHRA, raced at South Georgia Motorsports Park for the first time. The Southern Nationals, the results there. In that, in the Sean Langdon wins Top Fuel. Jordan Vanderriff gets his first career funny car win for John Force Racing. Dallas Glen gets another win in Pro Stock. Matt Smith gets a win in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Langdon beats his teammate Doug Coletta in the final. Tony was knocked out in round 1 by Justin Ashley, who then beat Matty Gordon in the second round. Doug Coletta beat Leah Pruitt in the second round after getting a bye in the first round. Langdon beat Cameron Ferre, Antron Brown, Clay Milliken on his way to the final in In funny car, Jordan Vandergriff was the number 3 qualifier, beat Jeff Arend, Spencer Hyde, Hunter Green, and then J.R. Todd, who was the number 1 qualifier, beat Dan Wilkerson in the first round, got a bye in the second, then beat Alexis DeJoria in the semifinals. And Pro Stock, that's not good. And it just decided to crap out. That's not promising. In Pro Stock, Dallas Glen gets the win over Troy Coughlin Jr. Troy Coughlin Jr. ended up beating Eric Anders in the semifinals, and Dallas Glen beat Greg Stanfield in the semifinals. Then in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Matt Smith ends up beating Richard Gadsden in the final. Gadsden beats his teammate Gage Herrera in the semis, and then Matt beats his wife Angie in the semis. So interesting, their battle between teammates, and in the case of the Smiths, husband and wife. So there you go. We'll move to IMSA, and it was Lauren Heinrich showing why Porsche has a lot invested in him. Ran the Roxy AO racing car last year to great effect, then has been running with the Porsche Penske Motorsports this year and done a great job with them, but he was able to go and get a gig with JDC Miller Motorsports to go and run the races that he isn't in driving the Porsche Penske Motorsports team there. So he goes and makes a last lap pass on Jack Aiken, Earl Bamber there too, in the Whelen Engineering Cadillac to get the victory for JDC Miller. Tillman Vanderhelm, Lauren Heinrich get the win. The BMW WRT number 25 with Philip Eng, Marco Wittmann finishes third. The Acura Meyer Shank team, the 60 and the 93, fourth and fifth. The Porsches were sixth and seventh. The Aston Martin finished eighth. Second BMW was ninth. The Cadillac, the Wayne Taylor Cadillac number 40 finished 10th. The number 10 had issues. In GTD Pro, the Versvich Mies Ford Mustang won over Tommy Milner, Nicky Katzberg, and the Pratt Miller Corvette, and then Nick Tandy, Harry King, the AO Racing Porsche, finished third. Danny Formal, Trent Hinman, and the Wayne Taylor Racing Lamborghini won in GTD over Dudu Barrichello, Tom Gamble, the Harder Racing Aston, and then Brendan Rebe, Frederick Schandorf, the Inception Ferrari, finished third there. So that was Laguna. The next race will be Detroit before a lot of those teams will head over to Le Mans for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In Formula E, oh my goodness. The results. of the race. Saturday race saw Nico Muller get the win over Nick Cassidy and Oliver Rowland. Eduardo Mortara started on pole, finished fourth. Jake Dennis had the fastest lap. Mitch Evans, Pepe Marti, Taylor Barnard, Nick DeVries, Antonio Felix da Costa, your point scorers there. Then in the second race, Mitch Evans over Oliver Rowland, Pascal Verline, who qualified on pole. Oliver Rowland had the fastest lap. Sebastian Buemi, Norman Nato, Jake Dennis, Mortara, Jean-Eric Verne, Felipe Drogovic, and Joel Eriksson rounding out your top 10. The standings heading to Monaco in a couple weeks' time. Sees Verline with a 3-point lead over Mitch Evans. Evans, of course, has announced he's not going to stay with Jaguars. So after this year, after spending so many years with them, so it'd be something if he can go win a title. Eduardo Mortara's 8 points back in third. Oliver Rowland fourth. Nico Muller in fifth. Cassidy, Dennis, DaCosta, Buemi. There's like a nice cluster of 10 points between Muller all the way to DaCosta. And then I think you can say from Cassidy down to Buemi. And then there's like a cliff for the rest of the grid. So team's title, Porsche Penske's 13, or Porsche Formula E team, not Porsche Penske's, up by 13 points over Jaguar TCS. And that's really the battle for the team's title there. Manufacturers, 14 points between Porsche and Jaguar. So we'll see how that goes. World Superbikes, as I said earlier, similar to what Formula One used to be when Fish Lips won every freaking race. This is a Nicolo Bulega show. Who he's won every round this year. There's been 12 races. He's won every single one of them. The standout thing that came from Hungary was Garrett Gerloff getting a top 5 finish on the Kawasaki, putting himself back into, at least looking at a possibility of getting a top 10 in points. He had some pace at least, so that was nice to see for Gerloff there. So we will see how that goes as they move forward. The next race will be the Czech Grand Prix or Czech round, which will be at Autodrome Most or whatever. So that'll be in a couple weeks' time. Then they'll race at Motorland Aragon before going to at Misano for the Emilia Romagna race. All right, so that'll be that. WEC will be at the 6 Hours of Spa this coming weekend. That's fine. McLaren debuted their new hypercar that'll come out next year. So this is the second race. So after the 6 Hours of Spa, the next race will of course be the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So big race for all these teams heading into this important round to prepare themselves for the biggest race of the year for that series. Trying to see what the heck entry list, total energies. It says that it has entry list, and then I click on it, and then there's no entry list. So I don't know. Total energy, 6 hours of Spa, Francorchamps. I don't want tickets because I can't go anywhere near there. So, all right. We'll tell you how it went. Toyota, of course, won last. The race at Imola, the 6 hours of Imola, with their heavily revised TS010 over the Ferrari, BMW, Alpine, and Cadillac. Of course, Genesis making their debut last round there in GTD or GT, whatever, LMGT3 teams. The WRT BMW won over TS Sport Corvette, and then the Manthey Porsches were third and fourth. Second, WRT BMW was fifth. So Dan Harper, the American, Parker Thompson, American, part of that BMW team. So we'll see how that all goes. Alrighty. We got Rally Portugal, WRC, Gravelway Junior. Yeah. So the entry list for Rally Portugal, we'll see, what is it, five Toyotas, of course, with OGA Racing, along with Katsuda, Efren Evans, Oliver Solberg, Sami Payari. Hyundai will have Formeau, Thierry Neuville, and Danny Sordo. M Sport will have 3 cars this race with John Armstrong, Josh McElrain, and then Martin Sex for the Ford team. So that's the cars for Rally 111. Johan Rosell, who's had a couple of good races recently, scoring actual points in the World Championship. So see if he can continue that. Gus Greensmith, former Rally 1 competitor, they're driving a GR Yaris. Bunch of Skodas there, Eric Camilli, Andreas Mikkelsen, among others. So we'll see how they all go. And the current standings in the World Championship heading into Rally Portugal is Efren Evans as a 2-point lead on Takamoto, Katsuda, Payari third, 4 points ahead of teammate Oliver Solberg. Best Hyundai is Adrian Formeau in fifth. Ogier's only been in 3 rounds this year. Currently is 43 points back of Efren Evans. Then MotoGP, Moto2 will be at Le Mans on the Bugatti circuit. So that'll be the current standings heading into the French Grand Prix. Marco Bezzecchi, 11 points out of teammate Jorge Martin. Fabio Di Gianantonio, third. Pedro Acosta, fourth. Marc Marquez in fifth. Coming off of a big wreck last round. Then Raul Fernandez, Alex Marquez, giving the top 7 is 5 Spanish riders and 2 Italians. And in the top 10, the only non either Spanish or Italian rider is Ayagura. Man, basically the whole entire grid is like either Italians or freaking Spanish riders. It's pretty weak, honestly. In Moto 2, Gonzalez with a 9.5 point lead over Senegas. Guevara in third, Celestino Vietti, Holgado, Dave Alonso, Roberts 14th on 8 points. So go to Indy next. Indy next before we move forward into the Indy cars. Double header here. 2 races on the IMS road course, one on Friday and then one on Saturday as a lead-in to the Indy Grand Prix before they race at Detroit at the end of the month. Current standings in the Indy NXT, Nikita Johnson, 23 points out of Max Taylor. Timek Kusharik in third, Enzo Fittipaldi fourth, and Alessandro Del Tullio in fifth, Juan Manuel Correa, Lockie Hughes, Jordan Missig, Miles Rowe, and Seb Murray. Keita Johnson has 2 wins for the KPCR team. Max Taylor has 1 win and a pole. Alessandro De Tullio has 3 poles already this year, so really a qualifier and 1 win. Timek Kusharik has 4 top 5 so far this year, so keeping himself in the mix. Alrighty, so let us move to the Indy cars. Alex Palou comes into this weekend's Sonsio Grand Prix, leading the points by 17 over Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas, Pato Award. Then there's 5 Chevrolets behind them: Malukas, Award, Lundgaard, Newgard, and McLaughlin. So that's the Penske's and Arrow McLarens. Then Scott Dixon in 8th, Rosenquist and Green Rehal. Definitely is a sleeper at the Indy Road Course. Let us see here. Josh, you went first, so I'll go first here. Yeah, I'll just pick Palou. Why not? It's really just pick him until it gets old. That's all you can do because he's so good. It is who's going to really stop him. So 13, I would say, because there's 25. So my wild card selection, and this might be the last time I'll be able to say that, so I'm going to say Will Power because he's 14th in points. So IndyCar at Indy Road Course. Phil goes Alex Palou to win and Will Power wild card. How about you, Josh?
If you're gonna say Alex Palou, I'm gonna say Christian Lundgaard to win. And I guess for my wild card, if I pull this up, still thinking here for computer. Come on, racing reference. Racing reference there. second. Yeah, I guess for my wild card, we'll go with Renus VK.
I was thinking you were going to go Hauker, but Renus VK. He was solid at Long Beach.
And he's won at GP before too, so
he's won at GP before too. Very true, very true. His one win in IndyCar, actually.
yes.
And they used to win road course races at Carpenter Racing. That's true. When they had like Mike Conway as well. All right, yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I like Renus VK's chances a lot on the oval a few weeks' time, I think. I mean, based on the testing that they did, but we'll see how that all goes. So we made picks for that. So now it is on to NASCAR Tripleheader at Watkins Glen. Bully Hill Vineyards 176. 38 trucks for 36 spots. So if there's weather issues, then there's going to be some trucks that are going to go home that might have possibilities of actually contending for the win. The 71 Connor Zilich for Spire. I don't think they've run that many times, if at all. Got Brent Cruz driving the 1 for Tricon. That's a regular. They run it every week. The 4 for Nice, I don't think is an every week truck. So Shane Van Gisbergen's another one. Jackson Lee driving for Team Rayum. Adam Andretti driving for Tricon. Mozak in the 7 for Spire. Let's see here. Breidinger, as I mentioned, driving for McAnally Hilgeman. Rayum doesn't have somebody in the Southside Restaurant and Spirits in the 22. Doesn't have anybody listed. AJ Allmendinger driving the free agent Ram truck. Dawson's, so the 33 doesn't have anyone listed from Team Rayum. Ross Chastain will be driving the 45 for Nice. Wesley Slimp driving the Halmar Friesen 62. Destiny Spurlock, who's made a few ARCA starts, trying to make her first truck series, make her debut on a road course. So it would be possibility of 2 women in the race. Nathan Nicholson driving the truck for Spencer Boyd, the number 76. So see if you can make that. I mentioned Zilich. Hocevar is driving the 77. So, Josh, you get first licks here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Connor Zilich. And I guess my wild card here. Adam Andretti
To win, and Adam Andretti wild card. All right. I will go on a similar path. I'll say Shane Van Gisbergen to win. So SVG to win, and my wild card. I mean, it's kind of just sitting out there. It's AJ Allmendinger. It's why not? So we'll take that. So going full road course, experienced guys there. Let's see how that goes. O'Reilly Auto Parts Series 39 for 38. One vehicle will go home. Alex LeBay driving the 0 for SS Greenlight. Connor Zlich driving the 1 for JRM. What is Blakey driving the 07, but he usually drives anyway. SVG driving the 9 for JRM. Excuse me. Throat's tight there. Let's see here. Who else? Yeah, Chastain driving the 32 for Jordan Anderson. 35 has nobody listed. 42 for Young says nobody listed. Preston Pardish driving for his family team. Joey Gase driving for himself in the 55. Austin Green for an opportunity. Roger Caruth back in the 88 for JRM. Carson Quapple this week will be in the 91 for DGM. Retzloff, yeah, there. So then they have nobody listed in the 53 or the 74. So we'll see who's gonna be in that deal. So for me, you went Connor Zilic for the trucks. I'll go Connor Zilic for the O'Reilly series. I can't. Well, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna swap that. I thought about it earlier, and I was like, you know what? It's a matter of time, and I'm gonna keep on. It's like I'm gonna put it into existence. It's kind of like hoping that Briscoe could actually put together a run. But I'm gonna say Brent Cruz goes and gets his first win at Watkins Glen, just like his good buddy Connor Zilic did a couple of years ago. So Cruz to win, and the wild card. I mean, in theory, you could go and pick one of those guys because, to be fair, they're not a regular. But I'll pick Austin Green as my wild card. I left a couple of big hitters there, Josh, so you can take your pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to go against SVG here in the Xfinity or the O'Reilly series. So, yeah, go with him in the 9 car this weekend. So, yeah, pick him. Wild card pick, of course. This is hard, but oh, sorry. Yeah. Go with where's Alex? Yeah, Alex LeBay. He's always been a good pick on the road courses for me.
Yep, that's he'll get the most out of a car. He's guaranteed to do that no matter what. So now we're on to the Go Bowling at the Glen, the Cup Series event. They said that now they've actually added some new what do you call track limits to for the track. They have added 10 laps to the race. So instead of it being 90 laps, which it has been ever since they started going back to Watkins Glen back in the 80s, it's going to actually be 100 laps this year. So, which to be fair, considering the O'Reilly Series race is 82 laps, they probably needed to do this a long time ago. So first stage is only 20 laps, second stage is 30, and then the last stage is 50. That'll be something. 38 for 40, so nobody going home. You got the 78 with Live Fast will have Catherine Legg driving this weekend. Josh Balicki be driving the Car Long 66. Those are the two open cars. Otherwise, your usual suspects here. Briscoe running a Mobil 1 car, so maybe he can have good vibes like Tony did driving a Mobil 1 car there in the past. Josh, you get first dibs here on the Cup Series.
Yeah, on the Cup Series, I mean, again, I think, I mean, can't go wrong with number 97, so I'm gonna pick him again to sweep the weekend here for O'Reilly and in Cup Series here, so I'll go with him. Wild card for me, I don't know, who's a good wild card for this, because I feel like now all the guys, I mean, I guess we can maybe go with I guess it counts as a wild card. I'll go with Alex Bowman, because I feel like he's underrated as a road course racer in the Cup Series.
Yeah. I feel like Alex Bowman's going to be one of our wild card picks for the rest of this year.
Yeah.
I think it's just by default.
Yeah.
I think that's literally when you're getting ready to say, I'm like, he's going Alex Bowman. And I'm like, that is a really good pick. So that's what we're going to have to do. One of us is going to be picking Alex Bowman for the rest of the year as a wild card, because he is not the 34th place, 5th or 36th place driver in the series, but you miss 4 races. It's kind of what happens. Yeah, for me, I am going. I wanted to go, and it probably is a necessity for him to, but he hasn't done a lot to make it seem like he could go out there and do it, though. He did run well at Coda. What I'll do is I'll go safe. Even I'll go Tyler Reddick to win, and then and Connor Zilic as my wild card, as a good hedge there. All right, so those are our picks. Let's see how those go. Watkins Glen, see what kind of weather they're going to have this weekend there at Watkins Glen. Josh, let us know what your plans are getting ready for the iRacing Indy 500 and everything else going on in the sim segment.
Yeah, I think, for me, it's just going to be lots of practice throughout the week. Probably going to just be aiming for Friday night for fixed Indy 500. Next week, I think, is the Open Series Indy 500. I've got a dentist appointment on May 15, so I'll have to plan around that. But other than that, just lots of practice. I think the strat is going to be to not qualify for this, because I think that'll put me in a better opportunity for a win. I think that's what I've heard people say. I haven't decided now. Maybe I will try to run a quali run, but I know if you don't do it, it just automatically just sorts you in the best of the rest who haven't attempted a qualifying attempt. So we'll see how it goes, but it's going to be interesting. I know the setup for the IndyCar is different now. With they've now introduced the hybrid unit, so that's going to come into play. Maybe I have not really tried it on the fixed oval series for IndyCar. I've heard some people try it on the open series and other Indy 500 series like the Open Wheels 500. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. But yeah, that's what I'm definitely aiming for, to run it and see where we go, see how it handles and all that. Obviously, experienced enough to know what I'm getting into, obviously, and hopefully can come out with a win here for sure. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this. This is the one, other than the Rolex 24, this is the one iRacing event that I really look forward to doing every year. I mean, I do the Daytona 500 as well, but that one come close to as well. So but there's always a special significance with the Indy 500 because of how difficult it is to win and remain up front. So we'll see how this all shakes out. But yeah, I mean, it's not really much else to it other than that. But I do think the fixed Indy 500 is going to be a little bit harder than the Open Series one, because I think it depends more on I was going to say nailing the adjustments for what you have available to you in the driver tools, the weight jacker, the weight jacker, the other settings for the IndyCar, the roll bars, the anti-roll bars for the front and rear, managing those. The fuel strategies come into play as well, as always at Indy, so that'll be part of it, managing the engine mapping and stuff. When everybody's on the same level, it comes down to more of that, whereas I think with the open setup, if you can find a good setup, you can come up with something, definitely helps you in that regard. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Looking forward to it. Yeah, and hopefully we're able to come out with a win, or run well. So last year didn't quite go as well as what I wanted it to. Ran it the fixed Indy 500 last year, and then I went on vacation the following week, so I wasn't able to do the Open Series Indy 500. But I should be able to do both of them this year, and be able to get around that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely looking forward to running it, and definitely be streaming it live on my channel for sure. So yeah, of course, you can follow the Indy 500 stream on my Twitch page, uSailor2. You can go on there, watch me stream and everything. And then, of course, the Scripture podcast page on YouTube, of course. Hopefully we'll have this up there and everything. And then, obviously the photography page at Josh Alfine Photography on there. Go on there. I'll have the F1 photos posted up there hopefully soon. Twitter at JP Huffine on there. Obviously, new TikTok page. Everything on there for that. JP Huffine 8 on TikTok if you want to follow there. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Definitely had fun at F1 Miami for sure, and everything. And definitely looking forward to Indy 500 time. It is the month of May, by the way. The top of the show, we maybe should have led into that, but I mean, it is now May here. A year's worth of waiting is about to come to an end for the Indianapolis 500 here at the end of the month on Memorial Day weekend. So yeah, definitely looking forward to all of that for sure.
And may the 4th be with you too for going down that road. But yeah, I mean, the month of May leading to the greatest day in motorsports, which is one of our usual regular episodes, changed this year, of course, with Montreal, but still going to be a great day leading up to that, and we'll definitely be here to go and talk about it here on the Gripster Podcast. It'll be on, of course, as Josh mentioned, on the YouTube page, Gripster Podcast, GSP 1428, PG Matthew 28 on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at PGMGSP28. You can find the Gripster podcast at philipgmatthew.com and podbean.com. Also can see me depending on the Grid Talk podcast, depending on timings of races. So we'll see how that goes. So thanks as always, Josh, and good luck in your endeavors on the iRacing Indy 500. Of course, we'll talk about it all here next week on the GSP episode 315. We're almost on the Stone Cold Steve Austin edition of the Gripster podcast. So, oh boy, that's okay. So yeah, that's the week before the Indy 500 too. Oh man, okay. Austin 316 edition of the Gripster podcast. Oh boy, I'm gonna be like pulling all kinds of old references there when we get to that point. But yeah, for Josh and Phil, thanks for listening to Gripster podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, wherever you listen, and we will see you next time. Talk about NASCAR, Watkins Glen, the All-Star Race, IndyCar Sonsio Grand Prix, qualifying for the Indianapolis 500, and then everything else going on in the world of motorsports we'll talk about here on the GSP. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.